Tonight on the NTV Evening News Hour, we'll show you the face of the man charged following the tragic death of a woman on Torbay Road this week. Police say he was drunk when he lost control of his vehicle. Also tonight, the great debate on Fishery Products International opens in the House of Assembly. We'll have the full story. We'll also go back to the Lemaire Commission of Inquiry on the wrongfully convicted. We'll have Kevin Simmons from Labrador and the 50th anniversary of IOC. He'll have a special report. And tonight, the Rooms is about to open, and plans for a big kickoff have been made. These stories, plus the jury's still out at the Michael Jackson trial, and the big fire that wasn't the Great Fire in St. John's. This is the NTV Evening News Hour.
Newfoundland and Labrador's #1 newscast, the award-winning NTV Evening News Hour with Lynn Burry, Brett Hutton, and Tony Marie Wiseman.
Good evening, everyone. Also in tonight's newscast, a replica of the Vickers Vimy set to retrace some history. We'll tell you about that coming up in just a little while. And as well, the review of the insurance industry in Newfoundland and Labrador continues. Ken Regular will have that story for us. Lynn?
But first of all, this evening, Sharon Snow has our weather preview.
Well, hello there, Lynn and Fred. Good evening, everyone. Just a gorgeous day today all across the province. It is currently 11 degrees right now outside in the city of St. John's, but rain is in the forecast. I'll have all the details a little bit later with your AMAC weather forecast. But first, it's back to you, Lynn, for tonight's top news story.
Thank you, Sharon. And we begin this evening with the latest development in that tragic car accident earlier this week in Torbay. Christopher Woodfine, the man charged in connection with the death of 60-year-old Juanita Bromley, has now been released from custody.
26-year-old Christopher W. Woodfine has been released from custody after posting a $1,000 cash bond, two $20,000 sureties, and surrendering his driver's license. He's charged in connection with an accident involving this car. Police say that Mr. Woodfine, who has been charged with impaired driving causing death, 2 counts of impaired driving causing bodily harm, and a single count of refusing to provide a blood sample, was the driver of this pickup truck that crossed the center line and slammed into this small car. There were 3 people in that car. 2 were on their way to the airport. 60-year-old Juanita Bromley was killed in that collision. Her 17-year-old granddaughter, seated in the rear, was headed with her grandmother to Toronto for a vacation, as well as the girl's friend. They were both taken to the hospital, where they remain at this hour. The granddaughter has been taken off life support, and her condition has improved, while there has been little change in the condition of the 30-year-old male driver. Mr. Woodfine was treated in hospital and released, but remained in police custody until today's court appearance. He will return to court for election and plea on July 20th.
In other news this evening, a special summer session of the House of Assembly began today, one that will decide the future course of the province's premier fish company. And the fate of the Fishery Products International Income Trust proposal could hinge on a fish quota for Harbour Breton. As NTV's John Tompkins reports for us this evening, Premier Danny Williams is giving a strong indication that he won't support the FPI plan unless the company improves its offer to Harbour Breton.
A special sitting of the House of Assembly with a special purpose. 2 days to debate and vote on a package that would allow Fishery Products International to sell off 40% of its marketing division. Since the announcement of the FPI plan, the company has sweetened its offer to fish plants in the communities of Fortune and Bonavista, ensuring the MHAs representing those areas will vote to allow the sale. But Premier Danny Williams believes the plan's passage in the House of Assembly could hinge on Harbour Breton. People there say the town can't survive without a fish quota. The Premier has been keeping representatives from Harbour Breton close by during the proceedings. He told reporters that without a quota for Harbour Breton, he may not support the proposal.
I mean, the question is, I can sense from the members in the House of Assembly, particularly our government members, that, something has, including myself, that something has to happen for Harbour Breton in order for them to vote in favour of this income trust. Now, that would be one of the factors. There's a lot of other factors that would be taken into consideration. But right now, status quo, from my perspective, is that if there's nothing new put on the table for Harbour Breton, at this point in time, I would be voting against the transaction if that doesn't happen.
During question period, the Premier refused to be an apologist for FPI. He deflected the opposition's attack on the proposal back to the company.
Mr. Premier, are you prepared to commit that there will be no agreement without a quota secured for Arbor-Breton from FPI?
The Honourable the Premier.
What we have before that, as the Honourable Member understands, what we have before the House is pretty well a black and white situation. The proposal that we have before the House right now is what the House has to consider. We are working behind the scenes and in the scene, basically, to try and obtain greater concessions. What will have to happen in this House, at the end of the day, all honourable members are going to decide whether, in fact, this is going to pass or not. If the company wants this to pass, then I would suggest to the company that it seriously consider what it has on the table for Harbour-Breton. And that's the issue, because it is a black and white, it is a yes or no, and either the proposal and the amendment to the legislation that would allow the income trust to go will either rise or fall on what they put forward, particularly on behalf of the people of Harbour-Breton.
And while debate continues in the House of Assembly, talks with FPI also continue. But without the promise of a fish quota for Harbour-Breton from FPI, Danny Williams says his vote and the vote of the majority of his caucus is far from secure. John Tompkins, NTV News.
Meanwhile, Harbour-Breton Mayor Don Stewart was among a group of community leaders who met with FPI CEO Derek Rowe Wednesday evening. The mayor says the meeting left him with little hope that the company would supply a fish quota for Harbour-Breton.
Very discouraging and disturbing meeting, to be honest with you. We went to FPI hoping that there may be some changes in relation to their term sheet. We thought that maybe there were some room for negotiations. However, basically, CEO Derek Rowe said, no, we're not moving whatsoever. So basically, it was a no right from the beginning of the meeting.
Ronald Dalton told the Lemaire inquiry today that he isn't sure if confidence will be restored in the province's justice system, despite the best efforts of the inquiry. NTV's Darren Bent explains.
The systemic phase of the Lemaire inquiry dealt with a delay in Ronald Dalton's appeal today. The inquiry has already heard that two prominent St. John's lawyers let the appeal linger for most of the 8 years that Mr. Dalton spent in jail without completing it. Today, Ronald Dalton addressed the commissioner himself for the last time at this inquiry, and his words were of concern. He felt that the commission should have been allowed to go further than it did. He wanted it to look into the police and prosecution's handling of his case, and not just the appeal delay.
That we would be cautiously optimistic. And unfortunately, in my own case, I think my caution still outweighs my optimism in terms of the way it was handled, the extent of the terms of reference in relation to my own case, at least. Not to say that you can't make. I realize that. I sympathize with your position. I think you've been given a very large task and not necessarily all of the tools that you could have had to perhaps make even more meaningful recommendations.
Yeah.
Ronald Dalton was convicted in the late 1980s for the murder of his wife. He languished in jail for 8 years before the lawyers he hired got his appeal to court. At a second trial, he was found not guilty. Today, the commissioner told Mr. Dalton and the inquiry that the delays he suffered should never have happened.
Your 8-year saga, which was a terrible saga, and nobody should have to wait 8 years to be heard by a court of appeal. Nobody should be. 2 years is too long, in my books. So you have all of my sympathy.
Mr. Dalton says he's concerned that since the commission's terms of reference have not been expanded to include his full case and factual innocence, the public's confidence may not be restored in the system.
And I'm not sure that by limiting the aspects that we're going to look at, let's look at this, but let's not look at anything that might come back to haunt us. We're hearing a lot of the same names, but a lot of the same bureaucrats and figures are still involved behind the scenes. We wouldn't look at judges' conduct. We wouldn't look at some of the political aspects of this. We wouldn't look at anything that might impinge on buying our way out of this as cheaply as possible. And if I was, and I'm only one taxpayer in the province, but as a taxpayer, I'd be concerned that we're still going to be left with a flawed system.
On Friday, James Lockyer, with the Association in Defense of the Wrongfully Convicted, will address the inquiry. Darren Bent, NTV News.
Well, in less than 3 weeks, the rooms will open. Today, government officials revealed some of the details of the gala opening planned for the 29th of June.
It has changed the St. John's skyline, dwarfing the once prominent Roman Catholic basilica. While officials are not saying who will be performing, they are promising a gala hosted by Rick Mercer that won't be forgotten.
Well, we've announced the MC, who's Rick Mercer. I can just tell you that it's going to be a really spectacular lineup of performers, and we'd like to keep it as a surprise if we could. But there will be no disappointments.
When the Progressive Conservatives took office in 2003, the Rooms was one of the projects put on hold. At the time, the government cited the financial situation for the delay, but this month's opening doesn't come cheap.
48.8. I'm glad you asked it because I've heard so many different numbers in the House of Assembly and outside. It is 48.8, and I'll be corrected soon, but I'm pretty sure we're down to that final number, 48.8.
$6 million annually?
$6 million annually for operations and enhancements programs, yes.
The construction of the Rooms has been plagued with problems, including countless leaks. In the last year, most of these problems have been corrected. Fees to visit the museum have been set at $5 for adults, $4 for students and seniors, and $3 for children. But there will be times when it will be open for free.
We think it's a very, very reasonable fee. We want everybody to be able to afford to go to the Rooms. We also have one Saturday per month and a Wednesday evening set aside where people can come to the Rooms for free. We don't want there to be any barriers to keep people from experiencing what truly belongs to them.
Today, the Bank of Montreal Financial Group announced that they will be the first financial sponsors of the Rooms, and a donation of just under $38,000 will help offset the opening gala's costs.
Well, turning now to some economic news. North American stocks all closed higher today despite a near $2 increase in the price of oil. Here's our business report for you now in detail.
Tonight's NTV Business Report brought to you in part by
Beltone, helping the world hear better.
Still ahead in tonight's news, Kevin Simmons with a feature report on a special anniversary in Labrador. IOC has been doing business there for 50 years. Also tonight, Ken Regular with more on the insurance review. And as well this evening, Bristol Communications gives away a free day. This is the NTV Evening News Hour.
And up next on the NTV Evening News Hour, we will tell you about a special arrival this evening at the St. John's Airport. Please stay with us. That story is up after the break.
Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour, everyone. It's been a long time coming, but a replica of a 1919 Vickers Vimy is en route to St. John's and should arrive at the airport within an hour. The replica of the Vickers Vimy biplane is being flown by Mark Reholtz and John Lanoux. The plane left Quebec City this morning en route to St. John's International Airport. The plane and its crew will spend about a week here before attempting to recreate the historic flight of Alcock and Brown to Clifton, Ireland. It was back in 1919 when British aviators Captain John Alcock and Lieutenant Arthur Whitten Brown made the first non-stop flight across the Atlantic. Flying a modified Vickers Vimy 4 twin-engine bomber, they took off from Leicester's Field in the late afternoon hours of June 14, 1919, and then crash-landed in a bog in Connemara, Ireland, at about 8:40 in the morning on June 15th. Crossing the coast at 4:28 p.m., they flew 1,890 miles in 15 hours and 57 minutes at an average speed of 118 miles per hour. Back in 1969, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the flight, NTV's reporter Ken Meeker spoke to one of the living witnesses to the historic flight.
Well, you've got some pictures here in your album that were taken on the same day we took off. Let's have, if we can now, look at them. Now, let's start up over here in this corner, I guess. These are the airplane itself. It looks like they're just putting the propellers on again and getting it ready for takeoff. These are some close-ups, I guess, servicing the airplane. Down here, this one on the bottom, you mentioned these little chaps standing out in front here are the pilots. That's Alcott and Brown. Yeah.
People, I was standing in a bunch of people in front of this.
Somewhere
in the crowd.
The crew was supposed to reach Newfoundland much earlier than this, but mechanical problems and weather has hampered their journey. Well, people using the public walking trails throughout Corner Brook are feeling a little safer these days following the introduction of security patrols throughout the Corner Brook system. Here's NTV's Don Bradshaw with more.
The Corner Brook Stream Trail Network doesn't have the reputation as being a dangerous place for walkers or joggers, and that's just the way the group responsible for maintaining the trails wants to keep it. Recently, the Corner Brook Stream Development Corporation introduced nightly security patrols to the 10 kilometers of trail winding its way through the heart of the city. Corporation Chair Sheldon Peddle says while there hasn't been many problems over the years in relation to criminal activity along the trails, the move is a proactive approach to maintaining the safety of users.
The Corner Brook Stream Development Corporation, even in the construction and the design of our trails, we've always placed the safety and comfort of our users as a top priority. To us, this is just a natural extension of that, to ensure the comfort of our users as they're walking the trail, and also to protect the investment that the community has made in the infrastructure along the trail network.
In addition to regular patrols by Development Corporation staff throughout the day, PPAB Security Services has been hired to monitor the trail network nightly until well after midnight. Each security patrol is equipped with a first aid kit and cell phone that security consultant Pat Hickey says enables his patrols to keep in constant contact with police should assistance be required.
If they ever encountered a problem that they felt that it was outside their realm to deal with, they would just pick up their cell phone and call the police and let them know where they're located, and they would actually kind of stand back and monitor the situation and wait till the police to arrive to allow them to take it over.
Mr. Peddle says since security has been added to the trails over the last week, response from the public has been favorable.
We've had quite a number of phone calls, actually. They've all been very positive, mostly from people who enjoy walking in the evening, saying they're much more comfortable walking by themselves, now knowing that there is assistance on the trail if required. And it provides them with a lot of safety, right? To know that, well, while I'm walking through here, if we do encounter a problem, I mean, anything could happen. Somebody could walk through and stumble over and break their leg or twist their ankle and have trouble. In 10 minutes, the security's going to stroll on by and provide you with the assistance that you need.
The security patrols will continue throughout the summer, and the Development Corporation says it's considering maintaining the program throughout the winter months. In Corner Brook, Don Bradshaw, NTV News.
Portions of one of Corner Brook's main shopping districts are getting a bit of a facelift this summer.
For each of the past 3 years, the Corner Brook Downtown Business Association has been working on sprucing up the appearance of the West Street, Main Street, and Broadway sections of the community. With much of the facelift already completed, workers today are busy adding new sidewalks to the lower section of Broadway. The work involves adding new curbs to both sides of the road, as well as replacing concrete sidewalks with new walking areas made from interlocking brickwork. In addition, antique-style street lamps will be installed in certain locations along the walkway to boost the visual appeal of the area. The project, funded by both the Downtown Business Association and the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, is budgeted at close to $1 million.
Well, obviously a nice day to have an outdoor type job in Corner Brook and in many areas of Newfoundland and Labrador today. The sun was shining.
That's right, not a bad day at all. And Sharon Snow is standing by live this evening to let us know what we can expect tomorrow and the weekend. Hi, Sharon.
Hello there. Current temperature still 11 degrees. You're right, it was a beautiful day. today all across the province. Just gorgeous. We thoroughly enjoyed it, but we do have a little bit of rain for tomorrow. It will start from west and move east word, and so that means, I guess, by tomorrow afternoon, well, we'll have some showers to start our weekend, but nonetheless, it is the weekend, so I think that'll make up for it. We're at the Fairmont tonight, and joining me are some ladies, all about guiding, girl guiding, celebrating 95 years, so it's very special, and there's conferences going on, and there's a whole lot of information that we're going to share with you. Right over here on my far left is Sharon Callahan, and she is provincial commissioner. This lady here is Gretchen McCurdy. Right. I got that right, and Gretchen is Chief Commissioner. Right over here is Linda Crawford, and she is Executive Manager, who's visiting us from Toronto. When we come back, we're going to talk about girl guiding and a whole lot more, and how you could get involved if perhaps you are inclined to do so. So stay right tuned for all of that information, and right now we'll take our first look at the weather, as always, with our Continental Satellite Shot.
Tonight's AMAC weather forecast is brought to you by
Petro-Canada, supporters of the St. John's Boys and Girls Club, part of your community.
Much of Western Canada continued to be unsettled today with variable clouds and occasional showers under a weak upper trough, while a ridge of high pressure east of the Maritimes kept Atlantic Canada pretty fair today. In Atlantic Canada, speaking of that, a low pressure system will move into the Gulf of St. Lawrence on Friday, then track across the island early on Saturday. Clouds will increase and rain will spread from west to east. General rainfall amounts will be about 10 to 15 millimeters, but southern Newfoundland could see as much as 30 millimeters due to a risk of thunder showers on Friday evening and early Saturday morning.
Still ahead in tonight's news, still no word from the Michael Jackson jury, and speculation increases as to what it means. Mark Dwyer will be by with his sports report on the mark. And on Today in History, flames whip through the streets of St. John's again. This is the NTV Evening News Hour.
And up next on the NTV Evening News Hour, we'll have a report from Colleen Lewis from Central Newfoundland. Questions about the future of the College of the North Atlantic and programs in Grand Falls, Windsor. We'll have that story for you next.
The Education Minister says the decision to make cuts to the business administration program at the College of the North Atlantic in Grand Falls, Windsor is not in the hands of the provincial government. Here's NTV's Colleen Lewis with more on the story.
The union representing public employees at the College of the North Atlantic in Grand Falls, Windsor, is lobbying against cuts to the business administration program. On Wednesday night, they had a chance to meet with the Education Minister, but Tom Henderson says the decision to reduce the classes is one made by the college.
When you look at the programming that's within the colleges, that is under the auspices of the College of the North Atlantic. And it's like any educational institution, they have a mandate to make sure that the programming that they're providing is catering to the specific needs of the individuals, the students, the communities they serve, and the province in general.
The white paper review on post-secondary education is slated to be released before the end of June, and it will outline changes needed within the public college system. Still, the cuts are going ahead amid fears the review may mean campus closures. Minister Henderson confirmed the cutbacks at the central campus have nothing to do with the review.
So this is a natural occurrence in any school year, right, as the college makes sure that they are responding to the needs. And in this particular case in Grand Falls, Windsor, that the college saw it as necessary in order to build capacity in other areas, and of course made an educational decision, which I would support them, because again, that is where they should be.
The college says there will be no layoffs as a result of the change, and the cutbacks are the result of long-term plans for improvements to programming. However, the college isn't ready to release those plans. In Grand Falls, Windsor, Colleen Lewis, NTV News.
The Central Committee Against Violence is looking for long-term funding, and on Wednesday night they had an opportunity to make their case to the minister responsible.
The Social Policy Committee of Cabinet heard presentations from the Central Committee on Wednesday. However, despite their need for long-term funding, government offered no commitments.
One of the things we thought was long-term funding. You know, we were really interested in that. We don't want to spend our time trying to justify our existence. So long-term funding would be a great beginning for a violence prevention program. And we wanted to encourage partnerships to continue within the government departments because that was so effective, and we don't want to lose that.
Well, basically, the government does have a commitment to violence prevention, and we're certainly impressed with the violence prevention initiative that's set up in the province right now. We will be having some long-term planning going on to deal with the violence prevention initiative. We're at a point right now at the government level where we will be reviewing a plan, and once we have the approval, we will be rolling it out. But when we go out with a plan, we certainly want to look at it as being a multi-year plan.
Well, insurance is on people's minds again. Last night in St. John's, the consumer advocate held a public meeting. Here's NTV's Ken Regular with more.
Just when you thought nobody was talking about insurance, the province's consumer advocate is bringing it up again. But Tom Johnson is not talking about car insurance.
So it's an opportunity for people to advise me as to what the issues are for them regarding homeowners and commercial and marine insurance.
He's holding meetings across the province. The idea is to hear consumers' concerns. Then Tom Johnson will bring them to the Public Utilities Board. The PUB is taking a close look at homeowners insurance, marine insurance, and commercial policies. Car insurance captured most people's attention as premiums shot up and government searched for reforms to keep the industry stable. But now, other forms of insurance are getting attention. Mr. Johnson expects one issue to come up.
Like, for instance, in the homeowners, I expect the downtown St. John's issue to be a live one. Because people are having some difficulty in choice issues, and really if they're stuck with a big increase, they can't really do much about it because they're in an inability to really shop around if they're in the downtown core. So you'd expect to hear some from those folks.
The next public meeting is in Marystown on June 13th, then in Gander, Corner Brook, and Happy Valley Goose Bay each night at 7:30 after that. Ken Regular, NTV News.
Well, last Monday was a big day for residents in Labrador City. It was a day highlighted by the opening ceremonies of the Iron Ore Company of Canada's 50 Years and Beyond celebrations. NTV's Kevin Simmons was recently in Labrador, and he has this report.
50 years and beyond. The Iron Ore Company of Canada is celebrating 50 years of doing business in Labrador West, with the potential for another 50 years of mining ahead. On Monday, the celebrations began with a special ceremony to commemorate the history of IOCC in Lab West. The president and CEO of IOC, Terry Bowles, in addressing the community, explained the main reason for the celebrations.
You people are IOC. Your hard work, your ingenuity, your enthusiasm and sense of community have created, that has been created within this town and within the company, have made IOC what it is today. You know, I think everybody deserves the credit for that, and many people have gone through IOC over the years. While it certainly took no small amount of courage for the people who left their friends and families behind to come to work for IOC in the 50s and early 60s, we now know that whatever hardship they had to go through was repaid many times over by what they found and what they got here.
Meanwhile, guest speaker George Kane represents the employees at IOC. He's the president of the Steelworkers of America Union, Local 5795. He says a lot of credit for IOC's success rests with the former and current employees of the company.
At IOC, we have reached many milestones over the years. In 1996, we celebrated mining the 1 billion ton of crude iron ore from Labrador City mine. In 2004, IOC shipped its 1 billion ton of iron ore on the Cunasnell Railway. Our employees have completed world record concave changes and are constantly breaking other production records. Today, the Iron Ore Company of Canada is celebrating 50 years of mining. As we look forward to the future, it's important to remember those men and women, those resourceful pioneers that built IOC in our community.
A cake cutting concluded the opening ceremonies. However, there are many more events scheduled to celebrate this 50th anniversary. Kevin Simmons, NTV News.
For the third year in a row, the Bristol group of companies in the Atlantic provinces have put their regular business on hold, while the staff donate their time to two separate charities.
Annual free think.
It was all hands on deck for the launch of this year's 24-hour Free Think. All of the resources of the marketing and communications firm are focused on two not-for-profit groups who would not normally be able to afford the services of a marketing firm.
Well, we shut down our entire operations, and we've communicated to all of our normal clients that over the next 24 hours, we're totally dedicating all of our professional time to several not-for-profit organizations throughout Atlantic Canada, and we are going to be doing a full-fledged marketing communications program in Newfoundland for both the Arthritis Society and the Metro Community Chaplaincy.
One of the groups that is being helped is the St. John's and Area Metro Chaplaincy. They say the workers' efforts will help them highlight other programs that they offer.
It's going to give us an opportunity to let the people in our community know the kind of work we do in circles of support and accountability. Most people only know us as being involved with individuals with drug issues, but we're hoping that now Bristol, the acknowledgement now that Bristol is going to bring to us is that people in our community are going to be able to see that they have an organisation there that is working to try to keep the community safe, to give offenders and ex-offenders another chance to turn their lives around, to get out of a life of crime.
The other group is the Arthritis Society. They are hoping that the efforts of Bristol will help them get new corporate sponsors.
It's something that is going to help us build relationships in the community, with the corporate community, that we could not have reached on this type of a creative and polished package that I know that they'll present us with following this Free Think.
At noon on Friday, these workers will have completed their marketing plans, will have delivered any strategies and print material needed, all ready for the not-for-profit groups to implement.
But if you were on my
And here now is Mark Dwyer with his regular Thursday feature on The Mark. This evening, an encore presentation.
Racquetball is a game of speed, agility, and stamina. And this is National Racquetball Week. Several hundred players from all over the province celebrate one of the province's fastest growing sports.
Racquetball has been in the province for a couple of decades, and it's quietly gaining popularity among youth, especially in the province's capital. In May, the province will actually send a 10-player contingent to the National Racquetball Championships in Ontario, its largest team to date.
It's a pretty good team. A lot of the kids are showing a lot of interest, a lot of effort. They get some good chances as we go away. They'll perform reasonably well.
Reasonably well, though, might not mean medals, although a couple of kids can compete with anyone in the nation.
We're hoping for big things, but it'll be a little realistic to say that they're going to have a little bit of a hard time.
Although it's not likely Newfoundland will dominate on the national scene anytime soon, there's a tremendous amount of potential in this province. It's a sport that has plenty to offer and much to teach.
A lot of times you'll find that the players really get into it because you can kill the ball no matter where the ball is, which means that you can be out of it and you still win the rally. So that's a really different thing from most of other sports. If you're down and out in most other sports, you're pretty well finished. This one, you're not.
There's much more potential for more kids to be involved. I think the Muse Center is underused. There's lots of schools in that area, and if as teachers, I'm sure if they wanted to, they could work out something with the Muse and get them more involved, because it's a great sport for kids to be involved with, and it doesn't really cost that much to get involved. And I'd like to see more activity there.
Racquetball. I've seen enough. I mean, how tough can it be? I've got a chance to play provincial junior team member Kurt Barrington. I don't think I'm going to have much trouble. I think I'm going to win.
Mark, you don't have a chance, bud.
Well, I guess I'm not going to make it as a racquetball player, but these guys certainly are. For NTV Sports, I'm Mark Dwyer.
Well, turning now to national news, the Supreme Court of Canada has struck down Quebec's ban on using private insurance for services covered under Medicare. 4 of the court's 7 judges involved in the decision concluded that wait times in the province have grown too long, and denying patients the right to seek private health care insurance violates Quebec's Charter of Rights. The question now is, what does the ruling mean for health care in Canada? We get the story from CTV News.
After successfully challenging limits on private health care, George Zeliotis hopes others won't have to wait a painful year for a hip replacement like he did.
Everyone will benefit from that decision, and all Canadians will benefit and be happy with that.
Same for the doctor who drove the challenge.
My reaction is a reaction of very great happiness.
In a 4-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that it violates provincial rights for Quebec to prohibit private insurance for services covered by Medicare. But the court split 3-3 on whether the restrictions contravene the Canadian Charter. Still, with waiting lists blamed by some judges for undue suffering, even deaths, doctors called it a stinging indictment of underfunding.
This is indeed a historic ruling that could substantially change the very foundations of Medicare as we know it.
While many insist the immediate impact is limited to Quebec, others see an opening to more private care right across the country.
I would say this is one small step for patient care, one giant leap for healthcare reform.
But the head of a Royal Commission on Healthcare says if politicians act on the decision, public Medicare will be safe.
This is not an opening of the floodgates for the destruction of Canada's Medicare system.
We're not going to have a two-tier healthcare system in this country, and that's what nobody wants that.
While Paul Martin rushed to reassure, the opposition blamed his past spending cuts for the waitlist crisis.
How could Canadians possibly believe this Prime Minister has solutions when he's the perpetrator of the problem?
But the Prime Minister argued that Ottawa and the provinces are already dealing with wait times as part of their $41 billion deal last fall.
Let me just say to you that what today's decision does do, however, is accentuate just how important it is to act immediately, how urgent this situation is.
The Quebec government is asking the Supreme Court to delay implementation of its decision and may even use the notwithstanding clause to overrule it. As for the rest of the country, it may take some time to sort out the impact of a complex ruling by a divided court. Roger Smith, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, jurors in the Michael Jackson child molestation trial completed a scheduled half-day of deliberations today and left the court without reaching a verdict. We get the very latest in this report from CNN.
This was the 5th day of deliberations for the jury in the Michael Jackson child molestation trial, and still no verdict. It was a much shorter day for jurors than usual. They were not here for their regular 6 hours a day. They only talked about the case for about 2.5 hours this morning, so some jurors could attend a local high school graduation ceremony. Apparently, the stress of this final phase of the trial is getting to be too much for Michael Jackson. His spokeswoman says he was back at the hospital yesterday being treated for the persistent back pain that he's been talking about. She says he fell in the shower back in March, and that aggravated back pain he already had stemming from a fall off of a stage during a concert years ago. And apparently this back problem, these muscle spasms, tend to flare up whenever Michael Jackson is very stressed, like he is right now. We are told that he's resting at Neverland Ranch, surrounded by his entire family, all of his sisters and brothers, and his parents, and of course his children. He's playing with his kids, he's watching TV and movies, and also in constant contact with his defense attorneys. The Jackson family realizes the severity of the situation, we're told, but they're trying to stay upbeat, especially for the grandchildren, for Michael Jackson's children. Reporting in Santa Maria, California, I'm Chris Wolf. Back to you.
Still ahead in tonight's news, Jim Furlong will be by with Today in History. Tonight, a story about fire. And as well, we'll have a detailed look at the weather forecast for the end of the week and the weekend. This is the NTV Evening News Hour.
Receive a quote on your auto insurance over the phone in just 10 minutes. Isn't that nice?
Anthony Insurance. We love good drivers.
You need to take time to relax. Perhaps read the day's headlines. Maybe have a snack. Aboard Provincial Airlines, you're our guest. Come experience service with a smile. Provincial Airlines' great service throughout Eastern Canada has expanded to include daily flights to Gander and Halifax. Call today and book your seat. Provincial Airlines, offering comfort, convenience, and as always, service with a smile.
Depend on Provincial, you know, we'll take good care of you.
I've got a secret, and it's steamy. I've been in hot water before, but not like this, and I can't wait to do it again.
Introducing new VO5 Nourishing Oasis. Shampoos and conditioners that are activated by your shower steamy heat.
Every hair felt revived, like breathing flowers. What condition my condition was in.
New VO5 Nourishing Oasis from Alberto VO5.
My secret for killer hair. Boom, boom.
I dropped my tie clip underneath the fridge.
I'll take it from here.
Remember, Subway only makes you feel like a superhero.
Tim Hortons would like to acknowledge that your support on Camp Day will help our store owners send over 10,000 deserving kids to camp this year. It'll be an experience that can open their eyes to their own potential. And it was you who set everything in motion with the coffee you bought on Camp Day. We thank you. Your help is making such a difference.
Entertainment Tonight is next on Canada's superstation, NTV.
Good evening and welcome to the NTV Lucky Number Contest for Thursday, June 9th. If the number on the cover of your Newfoundland Herald matches either one of these three numbers, then you have 30 minutes to call us here at NTV 722-5015 for your chance to win the grand prize from Discovery RV Kenmount Road and Marble RV O'Connell Drive. This 2005 Destiny Yuma folding trailer, just in time for the camping season. Good luck and join us again tomorrow night as we play the NTV Lucky Number Contest.
Welcome back to the NTV Evening News Hour, everyone. From the world of sports, we're going to begin with hockey. Some new inductees to the Hall of Fame.
The Hockey Hall of Fame has three new members. Former Boston Bruin Cam Neely, former Soviet star the late Valery Harlamov, and former Canadian Hockey Association President Murray Costello were named to the Hall yesterday. They will be inducted in November. Well, Toronto had Roy Halladay on the mound, but couldn't complete the three-game sweep in Chicago. Cubs beat the Jays 2-0. Toronto's 4-6 on the 13-game road trip. Halladay, who is 9-3, had a 5-game winning streak snapped. Alex Rodriguez, at age 29, became the youngest player to reach the 400-homer plateau in the majors. Yankees beat Milwaukee 12-3. Dontrell Willis became the major's first 10-game winner when Roy Halladay couldn't, and Carlos Delgado drove in all five as Florida beat Seattle by a score of 5-4. And the Washington Nationals, your former Montreal Expos, remain atop the National League East after their sixth straight win, 7-2 over Oakland. And French Open winner Rafael Nadal lost his first-round match to German Alexander Voski in a tournament in Germany. That snapped Nadal's 24-game winning streak, which all came on clay. This tournament was played on grass.
With so much And now we check in once again with Sharon Snow, this time for the detailed forecast. Hi, Sharon.
Hello again and welcome back, everyone. We are here at the Fairmont Newfoundland Hotel tonight. It is still currently 11 degrees outside and the winds are out of the east at a mild 15 kilometers per hour. And we're here to talk about guiding, celebrating 95 years in this country. That's a long time. I was a Girl Guide. I don't know, Lynn, if you were a Girl Guide, but I think at least all of us were probably either a Spark or a Girl Guide, or a Brownie for that matter. Don't forget the Brownies. This is Sharon Callahan, who is Provincial Commissioner. And why don't you, you'd like to welcome everybody, first of all, because there are a lot of people here from right across the country.
There are. This is a special weekend for guiding in Newfoundland and Labrador. When the National Board of the Girl Guides of Canada are in our province, we're hosting their national meetings. And along with the National Board, we have all the provincial and territorial commissioners from right across Canada. So we're really excited that they've been able to come to our province this weekend.
I imagine so, and what a gorgeous province we have. This is Gretchen McCurdy, who is Chief Commissioner, and it's been some 13 years that these meetings have been held here in Newfoundland and Labrador. I think the last time we talked it was in Corner Brook. So what exactly happens during these meetings?
Well, this is the meetings of our national board. So we try to take these across the country and stop in different provinces, which is why we haven't been in Newfoundland for 13 years. But we're back here. I'm really pleased to be here, and this year as we celebrate our 95th birthday, and we will celebrate with the guiders from Newfoundland. While we have our meetings, we take the opportunity while we're in the province to meet with guiders from throughout Newfoundland. So they're all coming to join us on Saturday and spend several hours with us, telling us the things they like about the organization, the things they'd like us to change, and it's the way we bring the voice of our membership to the things that we're doing.
I guess a lot has changed in the 95 years of guiding that you know, you've been a part of. It's just absolutely tremendous. Now I want to talk to, this is Linda. You'll excuse me for a second, Gretchen. This is Linda, and she's Executive Manager. So tell us about this new initiative, Growing Guiding.
Yes, we have a new initiative called Grow Guiding. It's a national initiative, and what we're trying to do is attract girls and women from across the country to join our great organization. A lot of things have changed in guiding over the years, 95 years. A lot of change has happened. So we're going to get out into the public and let people know what guiding's all about, let them know how fun and exciting it is for both girls and women to join, and we're going to set the stage to welcome them to join us.
Now there's a 1-800 number, I believe. Can you tell us that?
Yes, 1-800-565-8111 is the 1-800 number, and that is actually answered locally here in Newfoundland. And the people at the other end of the phone will help anybody who is interested in joining guiding.
Wonderful. Thank you so very, very much. And there's one last bit of information and important business that we have to take care of. So Sharon, why don't you tell us briefly about that?
Sure. Sharon, guiding is only as good as the community support that we have. And this year in Newfoundland and Labrador, our guiding community instituted a series of a new award called our Trefoil Award. And we would like to present you for NTV with the Platinum Award for the outstanding support that NTV has given to Girl Guides in this province over the years, and we really appreciate this support.
Oh, thank you very much.
It is my distinct pleasure to be able to present you with this, Sharon, and show our appreciation for all that NTV has done for us for guiding in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a pleasure to have community partners who care so much.
Well, thank you so very much, and we're always here to help, of course, and part and parcel of that is just by being here tonight and participating in our weather hits and getting the information out there about guiding. So thank you so much. More than happy to accept this on behalf of NTV. We're going to turn our attention now to the extended forecast. Let's take a look at that, shall we, with temperatures across North America today.
Tonight's AMEC weather forecast.
Brought to you in part by the all-new Pontiac Montana SV6, a new era of family adventure.
In the Bahamas today, high of 31 degrees with showers, sun and cloud in Calgary and 16, sun and cloud in Halifax today as well, and 21, sunny in New York, and 29. Our daytime high here in St. John's was 13, sun and cloud in Toronto today, and 30. Vancouver, a high of 19 with a mix of sun and cloud. Our Canadian temperatures now in Edmonton today, high of 23, sun and cloud. Sunny in Fredericton and 24, more sun in Fort McMurray and 27, Goose Bay as well, gorgeous day, 14, Halifax, sunny and 21, Iqaluit, sunny and 7, Vancouver, 19 and sunny, sunny in Whitehorse and 25 degrees. For Newfoundland this evening, temperatures from 4 to 7 overnight, partly cloudy skies for the entire island. The winds will be out of the south and they will be light. For tomorrow, temperatures look like this, from 14 to a high of 18 in Gander and Central. Increasing cloud for St. John's and the Avalon Peninsula. Showers developing along the south coast. Risk of thunder showers for Port aux Basques and Corner Brook as well for tomorrow. For Labrador this evening, temperatures from 3 to 5 overnight. Partly cloudy skies for Cartwright through to Nain. Showers developing overnight for Churchill Falls and Lamb City Wabush. For tomorrow, temperatures from 10 to a high of 15 at Cartwright. Becoming cloudy, showers expected to develop in the afternoon for Cartwright and Goose Bay. A mix of sun and cloud for Nain. That's the sunny spot for tomorrow. Showers expected to end in Churchill Falls and Lamb City Wabush. For Newfoundland, now you're extended on Friday, increasing cloud showers developing, a high of 17, 18 degrees on Saturday, showers ending in the morning in the east, then sun and cloud. Sun and cloud on Sunday in the east, showers developing in the west, and 16 periods of rain. For Monday, back to work and a high of 17. For Labrador on Friday, cloudy with sunny periods and showers, a high of 15, 17 for Saturday, sun and cloud. Showers on Sunday and 18, and on Monday, cloudy with sunny periods and a few showers, a high of 18 as well.
Mission Impossible 3 is back on track. After more than a week of haggling over budget issues, Tom Cruise and Paramount Pictures have reached a deal that will allow production to begin. Filming is slated to start July 18th in Italy. The finished product is set to be released in May of 2006. Macaulay Culkin has pleaded guilty to misdemeanor drug charges for possession of marijuana and medication without a prescription. The former child star received a one-year deferred sentence on each of the charges, plus a fine. Culkin was arrested last September in Oklahoma after police stopped a car in which he was a passenger. Officers found over half an ounce of marijuana, plus several tablets of Xanax. Johnny Cash's house is up for sale. The 18-room lakeside home just outside of Nashville is on the market for $2.9 million. The singer and his wife, June Carter Cash, lived there until their deaths in 2003. That's the Hollywood Minute. I'm Kim Hutcherson.
In our celebrity birthdays, actor Johnny Depp is 42 today. Actor Michael J. Fox will light 44 candles on his cake, and Natalie Portman turns 24. The NTV Evening News Hour will be right back.
Model Megan King of Port-aux-Basques graces the summer fun issue of the Newfoundland Herald. In our cover story, the Herald gives a list of some fun things you can experience vacationing at home this summer. In our feature pages, Carolyn Stokes gives in-depth coverage of this year's Arts and Letters Awards, while we reveal which Newfoundlanders made it to the next level on Canadian Idol. Plus, our lucky number contest and Newfoundland's award-winning cable and satellite television listings. Find out what you're missing only in this week's Newfoundland Herald, on sale now.
It's the Pontiac Fill It Up event. With 20 cents off per liter of gas for an entire year when you purchase or lease a new Pontiac, Buick, or GMC, you'll be filling up in more ways than one. Get in on the excitement of our exhilarating new lineup of models today. The Fill It Up event, for limited time only at your Pontiac, Buick, GMC dealer.
What gives a man ultimate shaving performance? Brawn Activator's revolutionary new foil with differently shaped holes captures hair growing in any direction for a closer shave in fewer strokes. And the world's most thorough automatic cleaning center leaves it feeling like a new shaver every day. Try the new Brawn Activator. It's the world's best self-cleaning shaver, guaranteed.
Okay, Dad, first thing you have to do is choose the bread. I'm gonna go with this one tonight.
I think I'll take this one.
Good choice. Then the spread. I like the spicy cheese one here myself, but you use whatever you like.
How's this one right here?
Yeah, can't go wrong with that one. Okay, do both sides. I mean, if you want, I like both. That's great.
Okay, now what?
Okay, now we put it on the grill.
Just like this?
Excellent.
Grill your own bread and pizza delight.
Hey, you're getting pretty good at this, Dad.
Thanks.
A full range of ultra-efficient cleaning products. Biodegradable, non-toxic. Hertel, taking care of you.
I'm Lloyd Robertson, and you're watching NTV, Newfoundland Television.
And now it's time for Today in History with NTV's Jim Furlong.
This is one of those stories where we don't actually have the pictures for it because it happened so very long ago. Having said that, pictures of flames and destruction and the aftermath of the Great Fire of 1892 will do nicely for today's story. Today we're marking an earlier fire, and it was the fire in St. John's of 1846. St. John's was always burning down, it seems. The fire destroyed the town of St. John's. It broke out in the West End, specifically down on Queen Street, which still exists. It started at the premises of Hamlin, the cabinet maker. There were at least 2 lives lost. They were artillerymen who happened to have stayed at their posts where gunpowder was stored. That wasn't a good idea. It exploded. All of this happened on a hot June day in 1846. Which June day? June 9th, this date in history. This is Jim Furlong for NTV News.
And also on this day, some special viewers of ours are celebrating, and we'd like to say hello and acknowledge their special day. First of all, birthday greetings going out to this gentleman, Leonard Clark of Black Harbor, Twillingate, celebrating his 90th birthday. Family and friends extending best wishes. Also this evening, Alice Piercy of Stephenville is 90 years old this week. Celebrated her birthday yesterday, actually. Also, congratulations going out to Ronald and Bride Tremblett of Little Catalina, now living in St. John's. They celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary yesterday. Also this evening, we would like to say hello and happy 50th to Rose and Gerald Scoville of Manuels. Again, family and friends extending best wishes. Happy anniversary going out to Gordon and Elizabeth Green of Clarenville. They're celebrating their 64th wedding anniversary today. John and Ruby Budd of Freshwater, Carbonear, 50 years married as of today, the 9th of June. As well this evening, 90th birthday greetings going out to Maud Abbott of Charleston, Bonavista Bay, celebrating today. Family and friends extending best wishes. Also want to say hello and happy birthday, happy 92nd actually, to Louisa Button, residing at the Lakeside home in Gander, formerly from Hare Bay. And as well this evening, Mildred Jewer, 92 years old, of Botwood, formerly from Old Bonaventure, celebrating today. And again, family and friends are extending best wishes to you on the occasion of your 92nd birthday.
And it's time to get a final word this evening from Sharon Snow. Hi, Sharon.
Hello again, Lynn. And before I go, I also have a special birthday. This little girl is only 10. She's turned 10 today, so she certainly doesn't qualify with the age limit, but she's 10. So happy birthday, Shawnee Evans. And thank you to my guest as well. I know you guys are going to have tremendous fun this weekend talking about guiding and growing guiding and celebrating 95 years. That's a lot of celebrations to do, 95 years of it. And before we leave, I have to tell you about the Learning Station. It's kids' children's entertainment. They're coming to the Glacier tomorrow night. So if you want to get some more information, call the Glacier in Mount Pearl. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
And that's our report for this evening. Thank you very much for watching the NTV Evening News Hour. Good night, everyone.
Good night, and please stay tuned to NTV. Coming up next on Entertainment Tonight, former Dallas star Victoria Principal opens up about her life-threatening illness. That and much more coming up next here on NTV on ET. Good night, everyone.
You're watching Canada's Superstation, NTV.
We reach